So when it comes to gating, I have the gates that I tend to reach for. Sonible seems to be making claims that like a content-aware gate, and I know we seem to hear that AI is coming for our jobs. This seems to be a really good application for something like AI. These utility type tools where it can make life easier and things quicker under the hood. So I want to play with it. Real quick, everybody, I need to give a little heads up before we move on to this video. This is sponsored by Sonible, and that is the maker of the plugin that I'm going to be looking at today. Sponsorships can be really weird on YouTube. I totally get it. I was making videos long before I ever got sponsored. I've been doing plugin videos long before I ever got sponsored. Here's the thing with taking sponsorships. I'm not going to take a sponsorship if I don't feel that it's contributing to my workflow, or if I don't feel like it's something that you guys would find interesting. Here's why I will take sponsorships, because they allow me to do bigger, better things. I'm a commercial recording studio. That to say, it is a recording studio in commercial property. I'm not necessarily just doing commercial projects like for commercials. That's not. Anyway, taking sponsorships like this allows me to do bigger and cooler things, to hire people, to get equipment, to purchase things that allow me to do the videos that I would really like to do and that I think you find interesting. So those sponsorships are weird. It is hard to do this without monetizing it in the least. In your guys' mind, you have to be willing to trust my view on this or anybody else's view who's doing sponsored videos. What's our end goal? For me, the sponsored content goes to pay people around me to help me do stuff like this. An editor who's editing this video. Thanks, Tristan. Give Tristan a comment down below if you think he's been doing a killer job. All in all, I'm still gonna make videos that I want to make, whether a sponsor is attached to it or not. Anyway, back to the video. The session I've got here was a full band, and we recorded only with ribbon mics. Now, if you know anything about ribbon mics, you know those will pick up from the front and the back. So there's a lot of interesting bleed opportunities as well as cancellation opportunities within those microphones. But the nature of ribbon mics is they have to be kind of further away from the source, especially some of those larger ones. So putting a ribbon mic on a kick drum, I had to pull back pretty far to get it so the air pressure levels weren't overloading that ribbon, and I had a decent kick sound. But using those limitations yielded some really interesting results in that session. That's neither here nor there. If you want to check this out, there's a video coming on that, and these files with this whole band, if you want to play with them, are available on my Patreon once that video comes out. The band is Josh Powell. This song is currently unreleased, but if you want to check them out, killer band, doing really, really cool stuff. So this was an interesting experiment to do with that band in particular. So let's take a listen to what we've got.
Playing telephone with friendship, and it now down.
So when I said we were working with ribbon mics, you probably didn't immediately go to metal band, but hey, that's what it is. So there's a lot happening on the drums, and there's a lot of bleed. In the moment, we leaned into those tones, but I think this is a perfect opportunity to try a gate that makes claims like this, because it's really hard to gate things that also have a lot of cymbal wash, that also have a lot of stuff. And in this particular session, I don't mind that, but this is a perfect example on what I could possibly do with a gate. So on this kick drum here, let's take a look at what we've got. So you can actually hear the singer in the room right here. And let me show you what I'm doing. It's a lot. And this was an R44 that was pretty far away from the kick drum, and the drummer did not have a port in that kick. So there was no possibility to get inside. Probably wouldn't have done that with an R44 anyway. However, this was a very experimental, lot of limitations, and it yielded some really interesting results and interesting techniques that I've really never done before. But I really like this kind of early 2000s thing. It's not a typical kick where it's like this sharp, pointy thing. You more like it's just kicking you in the chest the whole time. And all the drums soloed. So you can definitely hear a lot of bleed here. So let's pull this up. So immediately this looks very Sonible. I want to go somewhere in here. Let's just do the kick. That seems to be operating just like a normal gate. So let's start getting into the AI portion of this. Looking for kick. Your signal levels seem low. I'm not playing them. Well, that's pretty impressive. So right off the bat, it does not need a large sample size. So a lot of these things look like a typical gate. It's presented in a way that does not look like a typical gate. But if you've used Sonible stuff, you kind of know what they're going after here and where their things are typically laid out. So I know we can immediately go from ducking to gating. That's super useful. I'm not going to be looking at ducking right now. I mean, you can think about it being the opposite. It's going to duck that source. I wonder if I could do it negative, though, and essentially get the same thing. Impact. Control the global process. So what we could do is toss this into the differential signal. And I've just remade the gating portion of it. So there you go. Ta-da! What I am interested in is this level bias. It's going to act on the input of my decided source, which in this case is kick. So let's just go to 100 here. See how much length I can get out of this thing before bleed starts to become an issue. Down here, we can actually shape the gating of an individual portion of the spectrum. So they're calling it band suppression. So some of these symbols are coming through, and I wonder if I can kind of mitigate that right here. Seems to be helping quite a bit. That's pretty impressive. And as a reminder, I'm going to pull this impact back just ever so slightly to bring some of that back, because I don't like it completely down, but that's pretty impressive that we can go that hard. That's pretty cool. So let's put this on the snare. So we know on no target, it's going to operate just like a normal gate. So let's go to snare. I gotta say, I mean, even right off the bat, as just a gate without kind of leaning into the AI stuff here, I don't know how AI this actually is, but even without leaning into the intelligent side of what this is supposed to be, it's an effective gate. And price-wise, I'm kind of curious here. So it looks like it can be had for $89, $129. Okay. Now my normal gate, $169, $179. I did not realize Fab Filter Pro G was that expensive. I'm sure that's what I paid for it. That's kind of eye-opening to look at it from this lens, because I love that gate. And this is substantially cheaper than that gate is. Now, what this isn't going to do is fully get rid of other sources within a source. It's still a gate, but it's using the intelligent side to know, hey, this is a snare. I'm going to just get the snare for you. I've seen a lot of other videos where people are like taking apart loops and stuff, and that's cool. If you want to just pull like a snare out of a loop or a kick out of a loop and just get that, you totally can. I think the interesting part about this is if you're coming at this just and you want a good gate, because it's more affordable than my current one. This level bias is intriguing to me. So that's a really, really hard gate. That's impressive right there. I with level bias all the way up, what I'm curious about is if it can get snare rolls. So let's see here. Okay, didn't get that. Wonder if I have to play with tolerance. Oh, wait, here. There we go. Now I'm getting all the ghost notes. That's pretty cool, and that would be hard to replicate on a normal gate. Let's actually pull it up. So here's my typical gate. Yeah, I'm kind of giving some things up if I want that snare roll in here. That's an interesting part here. That's so clean. That's impressive to me. I mean, it can grab that snare roll without getting like his huge hi-hat thing in between. That's pretty crazy. Let's try some toms here. Level bias has been working for us. Let's see what's going on. Yep. That's impressive. So I just pulled the tail out. That's kind of nuts. And I'm just going to drag it down because I'm still going to use a tom. And let's get the other one. Wow. Now I do have Saturn on both of these, but they're just here for the wave shaping portion. They're doing some EQ, but I am not doing the Saturn gate trick. It's just for the EQ moves here and the slight saturation on these toms. So, okay, this is all the close mics with the gates. And then without those gates. That is so interesting, because I can lean so much more into my overheads, which is the sound I like anyway. And I could push these individual sources so much hotter if I want to. I mean, before I had to be careful about the snare, especially because it was catching so much hi-hat. I mean, it's a ribbon mic. There's only so much that can be done with a drummer playing that loud in close proximity to these microphones in general. That's pretty impressive, because if you're just wanting a gate and you don't want to have to fiddle with it, this is pretty good. Curious when they go for like a breakdown. And again, it catches all those snares. Because without that gate, I mean, there's a lot happening. And that's an instance where we can really see this gate working with that AI functionality. AI. I feel like I should be voice changing when I say the words AI. But at certain points in those rolls, in most parts of those rolls, and in the ghost notes of the snare, there's other sources in that snare mic that are louder than the source I'm trying to get out of the gate. That's where this program dependent stuff comes, and that's where that level bias is like super useful. And even if I wanted to grab some of the things in the kick where there is still like some top end stuff, having the shaping available in these bands makes it so I can kind of mitigate even that in the top end. This is a very impressive, very quick gate, because it didn't take me long to set this up, and gating is typically pretty rough and you don't really trust it. The other thing here, when I bypass those gates, I still feel like that sound of the drum is still there, which you don't get with every single gate. I do with Fab Filter, and that's why I tend to use Fab Filter, but this even being more affordable than Fab Filter is very interesting to me. Curious again right here with all this stuff going on and him hitting that trash mic. How bad is this without gates? So again, a lot of room, a lot of chaos, but that's what we were leaning into. But the fact that I can do this, it's so much more controlled. I didn't think I would get a sound like this using ribbon mics. I mean, we'll see if that's where we end up going with this, but I thought this was a super interesting test for a product like this. I think it's a pretty good price point given what it's doing and given the other offerings in this space. Again, if you're looking to start getting into this, even as an artist, you don't want to fiddle with the little tiddly bits that are in some of these other things. Like this gets you there pretty fast. This is pretty cool. Sonible again, man, not sexy stuff, but they're making utilities, which I'm all about problem solving. Josh Powell. Check out the band if you're interested. I'll put a link to them down below. The song is unreleased. These files will be available to the Patreon when the dedicated video for this comes out. Be on the lookout for that. Hit the like button, hit subscribe for more. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy, and I will see you in the next one.